Welcome everybody to day 4. We are nearing the end of Open 2 here at VCT Game Changers APAC. You're with me, Mika Fabs, and with Dax, of course. And wow, it's very bright and sunny where you are, Dax. I thought you were favoring the darker sort of like lighting.
You think it'd be all moody, right? But no,
yeah,
it's
I thought it was.
Look at it. I'm all bright, cheery. It's a sun shining day, and of course, with the high intense matchup we're gonna be getting later on, and of course the second one as well right after. You already know that today is gonna be a great day for Game Changers action.
Yeah, exciting matches all around. Just yesterday, we had a major upset. I was checking like the scores of what happened yesterday, and I was like, wait, hang on. Why is RRQ Kaguya out? I mean, there was a major upset, a team that I thought would be in the top 4, but it was an amazing job for global esports. Very exciting things for them today.
Yeah, and because of that, they're going to be facing off against Orangutan X yet again. Battle of the South Asian squads. And the winner of that, they're going to have double duty for today, Mika, because if Full Sense Sapphire, they're waiting on the other side as well. But you mentioned it, I was there watching every single moment of that GE versus RRQ matchup. You can really see they put in the work, and that's really the big difference between Open 1 and Open 2. They put in the work. We've seen these squads just come on up and be better than ever.
Yeah, it's going to be a real test for them today, right? They have to go up against Orangutan X, and if they're up for the challenge, they have to go up against Full Sense Sapphire next. Whew, what a day indeed. But just a reminder for everybody, this is our series format, so remember that there are 3 opens over here, and we are just about ending our second one. These teams are collecting points, and the top 6 teams at the end of Open 3 will qualify for Elite, which in turn is the final step to the international stage. Of course, we also do have LCQ here, so teams, I believe there are 2 teams to qualify for Elite at LCQ. Teams that may not have collected enough points here can qualify at LCQ. And now over here at our registered teams, I think like the most interesting thing is you have teams like the Hero KDA Dax and Points of Authority that didn't make it out of the Swiss stage last Open, but they're here now, so it's exciting to see which teams will get in the next Open.
And it's such a vast field right here in our Open qualifiers. We see so many of them popping up. I remember we were counting it last time we were on panel. 68 squads came in, and now there are how many left? 4 standing in our final few days. So Open 3, there's still possibilities for some of these other names to pop up later on, Mika.
Yes, absolutely. It's gonna be really exciting to see which new teams are up for the challenge in Open 3, or maybe we'll get more or less of the same ones, because we're seeing, of course, that we still have Team SMG here, still pretty much undefeated. May drop a couple of maps or so, but still pretty much the queens sitting on the throne already, waiting for the challengers to come to them. And those challengers, of course, are Global Esports Phoenix, Orangutan X, and of course Full Sense Sapphire.
Yeah, and you mentioned it a while ago. We only had 2 new teams into the playoffs, 6 of them still just recurring from Open number 1. But there's not only, of course, the points up for grabs here, Mika, but we have an incredible prize pool as well. 10,000 USD on the line. And now within our top 4, that 3,500 Lions share looking very tasty for our Open 2 champion.
Of course, and you can see our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th places, they actually already get a little share of the prize pool already. But of course, it's not just that these teams are playing for, right? They really do want to get to that very top because they are collecting those points to qualify for Elite, the biggest showdown that will happen in APAC, right? I'm sure that Full Sense Sapphire, they do have their eyes set on getting back to the international stage once again, doing like, let's do this again, let's do a take 2. We now have more experience, we now have, more strategies up our in our playbook, so hopefully they can be able to do that. But Team SMG, they're definitely still looking like the behemoth of the APAC scene here at Game Changers.
Yeah, and let's not forget also teams like Orangutan, teams like GE. They're on the uprise, and we have our bracket right now. We're going to be tackling the lower bracket for today, ladies and gents. At the end of the day, we will know who will face off against Team SMG in tomorrow's grand finals. And it's really such a tough road, Mika, because double duty for either Orangutan X or Global Esports if they get their initial victory.
Exactly. It's one team is guaranteed to take on 2 matches in a row today. The endurance for that tax is just something else, especially when you're dealing with the pressure of elimination. You know, it's just like dropping one map is not an option anymore, especially since you want to preserve your energy. You want to preserve your strats as well. Every single map that comes out here in our first series, you know that Full Send Sapphire are already watching it very, very closely.
Absolutely. I agree with that. They're going to be so glued to the series that will come up next, which is Orangutan X and Global Esports. Any mistake that they notice from either team, they will look to exploit in the near future. And that's pretty much the beauty of how far Full Send Sapphire went in the upper bracket in the first place. Only losing to Team SMG, finally breaking the streak of maps Team SMG did by taking that win on Haven, but they couldn't get the job done in the series itself. But Orangutan GE, we've seen this matchup before. Last time around in Open 1, Mika, Orangutan was the one with the advantage, but maybe this time the evolution of GE is something to watch out for.
Yeah, I don't know. I had Orangutan X actually as my dark horse for this open. Now all of a sudden it's like, ooh, global esports. Okay, all right. I definitely wasn't expecting yesterday's matchup to happen. Bringing it to a map 3 against RRQ and then eventually taking the series. So I would definitely say the momentum is in their favor, but going up against even bigger fish now, against Orangutan X, against Full Sense, and potentially Team SMG, right? It's gonna be a tall order for them indeed.
Yeah, and I wonder right now, what's the plan here? Orangutan GE, just the fact that they've seen each other already makes such a big difference. There's also that history, of course, between Casper and some of the members of
Yes.
Team GE in different outlings from the South Asian scene. And everyone's going to be watching that matchup. There's a big fan base for both orgs for good reason. And let's not forget, Orangutan, they made it to that runner-up spot last time around. Can they do so again through the hardest route this time?
Yes, lots of history indeed between our first series of the day. We'll get into that, but before that, we're going into a quick break, so don't go anywhere. VCT Game Changers APAC. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gents, and everybody in between. We are just about to start our first series here at VCT Game Changers APAC Open 2. Again, our penultimate day, our second to the last day here, and these teams are going to have one hell of a day in front of them, especially for one team in particular, the team that makes it out of the series. It could be Orangutan X, it could be Global Esports Phoenix. Both of these team stats have had a really short amount of time to adjust their rosters, right? So it's going to be a real challenge to rally everyone, to have everybody on that same page, to deal with the pressure of elimination here at our top four, and to make it to the grand finals.
They needed to make these adjustments this time on the fly, right? For Global Esports Phoenix, you talked about it extensively last time we were on panel. It's such a new roster with Bila being added in weeks ago. But I think the bigger story right now is Orangutan X have finally activated Chloe into the roster as well. And to our surprise, she's not back on her Sentinel role. She was playing a lot of Reyna, especially yesterday. And it's such an interesting look here for Orangutan. One of the two clutch queens really that we've been missing so far for Orangutan in Chloe. She's back in action, but in a different outlook than we expected.
Yeah, it's looking like Orangutan has like a different flavor this open, right? That's a different kind of dynamic coming in. But for the side of like Global Esports Phoenix, now my wild card for this open too, taking down Araki Kaguya yesterday, that's a massive ego boost. Momentum is clearly in their favor here. I wonder what they can do to bring that kind of energy, bring that momentum into the series, of course. But interestingly enough, of course, we were talking about this behind the scenes. You do have some history between these two teams, right? You have Meow, you have Muffin Loop, and you have Casper that actually have had some history. They played together last year on VLT Asteria. Yep. So how will that knowledge potentially give an advantage to either team, right? What does an understanding look like as we go into the series?
I think it helped out, especially when we saw them last time around in Open 1. Casper, who has had a lot more experience playing at the highest leagues of the Game Changers scene. In the meantime, GE still trying to find their footing. There were times where Casper really proved to be the best that South Asia had to offer, and now we see Orangutan X, and especially their roster, we confirmed that Chloe yet again will be on that starting side. Chloe's there, we got Naruma on the Sentinel, Japip Swirly, and of course our star controller Casper. And in such an interesting mixed lineup like this in Orangutan X, Mika, we noticed at the very start of the Open number 2, they made some drastic changes from their runner-up squad from Open number 1. It still has been successful. You still have players like Japip stepping up, Casper stepping up, but it's really a different kind of look we get from Orangutan X.
Yes, absolutely. I love it. I'm all for it. It seems like there's just so many layers in this new form of Orangutan X, right? For Global Esports Phoenix, clearly a team, of course, that is still like getting their bearings, of course, with the very recent addition of Bela, right? But she's doing so well. You see a lot of the rounds that Global Esports is able to clutch, and most of them are because of Bela, right? So we were talking earlier about how like the Sentinel matchup is going to go down between Aruma and Bela. She should be up to the challenge here, of course, and this could be her biggest one yet.
Yeah, and it would give some questions to Orangutan. Do we actually put Chloe back into that role instead? Will we get Eri in also to actually play on out to go for the front line? But I think my biggest point to make about Global Esports is from Open 1 to Open 2, they've really just decided to build on what they have. The foundation that they have with Muffin as well as Meow has been absolutely outstanding. And we've also seen some incredible improvements from both Rose and especially Curie. So Global Esports, they know their trajectory is upward. Now they just have to beat a squad that have basically eliminated them before from this outing.
Yeah, and I wonder, like Duelist, of course, is a big question as well for Global Esports Phoenix. Who's taking it? Is it going to be Meow? Is it going to be Muffin? And we do see that a lot of that is because of the map selection. So as we check out what maps our teams have chosen here, I'm expecting Lotus and Split Bands from Global Esports right off the bat. Their best performing map, probably Fracture, is going to come up as well. As we see it, it is going to be a Fracture. But as a decider map, we are going first into Bind, picked by Global Esports Phoenix, and then Haven, picked by Orangutan X. Very interesting indeed.
I'm intrigued that they let Bind pass in the first place. You expect Lotus and Pearl to be the immediate bans here for GE and OGX. They know those are effectively the maps that they might be in trouble with versus Orangutan Orangutan X, but letting Bind through is such a big wild card right now. Then we move over to Haven, which is basically the best map Orangutan X has had this year. 8 wins all throughout the year, wins over GE, wins over RQ, Big Sight, Hero KDA, as well as Full Send Sapphire. So for Global Esports, they're gonna need to do a lot of work to take that map number 1, because map number 2 is so contended. Only then will they get their signature pick of Fracture, and there's a reason why Orangutan X lets that pass, Mika, because I feel like now Orangutan is confident they can take Fracture away from GE.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't really feel like, at least for this series, at least for this opponent, I don't really feel like Orangutan X was really avoiding any particular map, right? I feel like they have enough experience, they have enough confidence going into any of these. And for Global Esports Phoenix, we definitely know that Fracture is the best performing map. But now, you know, we have Bind, we have Haven. I am expecting it to be both Meow and Muffin on the duelist role. I am expecting Meow probably to take first Bind and then probably Muffin over onto Haven on the Jet, right? So seeing what Twirly is going to bring out against them is going to be another really exciting one as we head into agent selection in just a bit.
Yeah, we've seen for Orangutan X when their duelist absolutely shines. They are such a strong team. Funny enough, I've been watching Twirly's performances all throughout these days, and truth be told, even though I've seen in the chat that she actually doesn't like this agent, I think her Neon is one of the best we have seen so far whenever they get to that Fracture map, and that's one point why Orangutan X lets it pass. Instead, though, really the sacrifice here for Orangutan is the fact that they let Bind through. It hasn't been the most successful map for them, but they needed to prioritize to getting rid of Pearl instead, because that's where they struggle. Maybe Global Esports, if they use that map to their advantage, and especially we know how consistent Meow has really been so far playing that Raze, then that can be their pivot point moving forward, because we usually expect them to get Fracture in the middle of the series, not later on.
Lesser of two evils, I suppose,
Yeah.
for Global Esports, right? And it feels like it is indeed of a pinch, but I feel like Global Esports, you know, they did know that eventually they'd have to come across their demons, so to say. Bind is one of those demons, so I feel like they have some kind of game plan for this, you know, versus probably one of the maps that they planned out. Now, going over to Twirlies, I feel like, Twirly, you don't like the neon? It's like, oh, the Pinoy pride is shaken.
All I gotta say is salamat, thanks instead. And that's the thing, right? Here for Orangutan, I think the biggest concern right now for them is what kind of Orangutan X will we get from them today. Because truth be told, while they have made it here, their matchup yesterday against the Hero KDA, right? It was shaky, to say the least. They were on the back foot coming into Split. They were on the back foot, especially after the first half of Ascent, and their biggest point of confidence was that domination on Fracture. Have they acclimated in time with Chloe back onto the roster with such a heavy frontline instead to try and take down GE, who have been formulating their strategies not just since before Open 2, but ever since Open 1?
It's gonna be so interesting, right? Because Orangutan X, they are quite diverse right now, and there's still a little bit of unpredictability to them, just because all of their players, they can flex and they're still adjusting. So I do know that they can be a little playful with their agent compositions. I do know that they have brought out the Gecko previously, just a couple of days ago. I'm wondering if we're seeing any ape shenanigans coming here into Bind.
Mika, look who's playing on Orangutan next, though. I think it's Emmy now. We're actually getting Emmy in rather than Chloe. We expected that she would be running from this year, running all throughout the series instead, especially for the eliminations. But they do trust and rely on Emmy and Twirly getting the job done. And I remember we saw this on Big Sight. When they sync on up, it is just exceptional from Orangutan. But when they're cut down in their prime, when they're cut in half especially, that's where it all falls apart. On the other side though, Mika, Meow, of course, on that signature Raze. Usually you see Muffin moving over to Initiators, and she's on the Sova this time around.
Yeah, that duo is going to be very, very interesting to watch, especially since you're up against Emmy and you're up against Twirly. And of course, picking, you know, the Raze and the Jet, it's pretty much like picking like any double duelist pretty much. It's like, it's a promise, right? We are going to get in. We are going to frag. We are definitely going to get in, make space for the rest of our team, right? So we're going to see if we can do just that, if Orangutan X can do just that indeed against Global Esports Phoenix, our wild card this Open 2. So casters, over to you guys. It is not just the teams who are a wild card, it's also the players of GE Phoenix and as well as Orangutan X. I'm pretty surprised about how Emmy was the one who they selected, right? I think yesterday when Chloe was playing, she was playing as a Fade. She's been, embodying all of these roles that she's not really used to, but maybe she gave a little bit of a way for them to really get to win this map of Bind, because I know statistically speaking they're not really as rich when it comes to this map. But Quack, I'm very excited to see what is gonna happen for the first map.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it comes down to how you really play, because you might feel like, "Ah, I'm not so used to this role or this agent," like how Chloe played Reyna at the same time, but when you are still able to perform, that really says something. With these two teams, with these two players, you really have to think about how I think the initiators will perform, because we know how strong Meow 16K with her Raze is going to perform. We know how Twirly and Emmy can do as well. But when it comes down to these duels, these fights, these big firefights, you need those initiators to be there to support your duelist. So I have my eyes on Japips as well as Rose.
Yeah, I think both of these initiators have been dealing a lot of impact during these rounds. And look at this quick
Whoa.
action here towards B. And there's nobody there though. All of them are towards A, and Casper is going to be ready for a little bit of a stun if they are going to push through any second.
All right, well, we're going in with the satchel. A little bit fumbled thanks to the concuss coming in from Casper. Meow knows she's up by the corner, but still blinded. Somehow able to stay alive for a couple more seconds. Emmy does, well, Aruba comes in with her incendiary, and now comes Emmy with a frenzy from behind. The entire side is in shambles, and Global Esports Speak still trying to fight back. Vela, we've seen her come up in some clutch situations before, but not so much this time around, as she's completely surrounded. So Pistol does go to Orangutan X.
The quick actions here for Emmy is what really brought them that round. And Emmy, when we saw her play her camera, everything else, I think she got it covered. She was looking at the map. She was really giving all of these calls, and that's what you expect from the likes of a duelist, right? Being on the front lines at the same time, really providing that information so that your initiators will have the right responses for you to take on that round. But I guess a little bit of a fumble there, not much coordinated for GE Phoenix, but this is a round wherein they can try and respond back to what was lost during the pistol.
But yeah, earlier to my point, I mean, that fumble is also because of that fault line coming up from Casper, and that's something that really threw Meow 16 in for a loop. So something they have to really consider about now, just going through the teleporter. A whole crew of them trying to make their way into baths. This is a lot of information for Orangutan X, and they're just waiting to receive them on the other side of that thing. Thankfully, in time, Aruma does pop the sky smoke, so Global Esports Phoenix not just completely blocked off. Bela still trying to bait out more utility on the other side of the map, though.
With that quick rotation, though, the smoke will dissipate, but Emmy is holding this angle. There will be a recon bolt sent through.
Revealing area.
But Emmy just really wants to reposition. They thought it was going to be B, but thankfully, the heavens are open, and Casper takes on the first kill. But down goes Rose, Viola, and Meow 16K. It's up to Kiri now. She only has a sky smoke available. She spots out Emmy. Doesn't really quite get the kill.
Not quite the angle, and oh my gosh. Emmy doesn't even care. She's not phased. She's not scared. She knows where Kiri is and just floats onto the top of that thing and tries to spray her down with the frenzy. So clean round from OGX, and they don't really falter in the face of all this danger.
No phasing at all. They got the kills. There was one in response for GE, but that wasn't enough. This time, though, I think the response available for them, and Rose is the one getting all of the kills. I think now she is 3 orbs away from her Ruling Thunder, and with the Phantom, I guess more orbs the better, because they would really need to try and remove Emmy from that situation, because when Emmy is holding these angles, it's quite impossible for them to really walk through that site.
That's exactly what she's trying to do. The same setup that we saw from the pistol round. Meanwhile, Global Esports Phoenix trying to explore the other portion of the map up by B long. Japips just holding control up over by Showers. Will be able to make use of this one spot. The entire team rotating through, so now with teleporter control as well, they might be able to do a bit of damage here. Not expecting Bela on the other side though. It's going to be Emmy falling, but Torley here to trade. So free weapon pickup for Torley now, and that could be something that gives them a lot more damage. Iruma even getting one, just hiding on the other side of defender spawn. They all thought that most of the players from OGX were up by Hookah instead. So back to a 3-on-3. Guiding light out, and Twirly is seeking these final few players. They've managed to push them all towards the back of the site. There is a Vandal in her hand, and she is looking to hunt some heads with that thing, but no! Muffin onto the other side. Does manage to take out Casper. So back to a 1-on-2. Twirly doing a bit more damage, gets a headshot instead. 5 HP remaining and tries to stick the spike, but Rose, in spite of all those explosions, still goes in for the peak and gets the shot. The win for Global Esports Phoenix.
What was explosive that round was Twirly really just pushing forward. I think that teleporter play really did work out for them, especially that they had the Spectres, and even Emmy had the Bucky in her pocket. So bringing down Byla as early as even before the retake did commence was such an important kill for them. That's the reason why each and every one of GE Phoenix did fall down, and it was left with a 1v1. And look at the buy of GE Phoenix. I mean, 2 Bulldogs for this round is going to be enough. They just really have to catch the timings so that they can retrieve all of what's OG's holding right now.
Possible though. And we can see that Bela is still doing her lurk. I guess the one thing is that she's often by herself in all of these, and if she doesn't win on those 1v1s, that's her weapon gone. So now Iruma going out towards elbow. G thinks they have the sight, but they have to think twice again. Here comes OGX outside of Hookah once more, and Emmy with the Blade Storm right click ends it all. It's 3-1, and I gotta say, OGX looks very clean on these side holds.
Yeah, definitely. During the time, if you take a look at the minimap, there would always be a form for the team of OGX, and they would always just be formed within a triangle, ensuring that each and every angle is covered. And when they take down one of the members, they just really pincer, and they just really close in on their opponents, and that leaves GE Phoenix with no space, with, of course, less members from their for the team, and really less time to work with if and when OGX would always, you know, try and claim that space. And I love the combination of Japips and Twirly on towards one side. They just invest in one area of the map, and they try to reclaim that space together with the rest of the members of OGX.
Yeah, I agree. The way that they position themselves together so much. Right now, Japip's control over Garden. Anyone who dares come her way will get blinded. Instead, though, it's that save from GEX, and, well, doesn't matter in the hands of Emmy and her judge. I mean, look at how Casper supports her with that flashpoint in towards Bats. Full control, full information, and it's the same thing that we saw from the past few rounds. OGX always gets the first picks.
Standing ahead.
And that's going to be the advantage of OGX. First kill goes to them. And Emmy has been buying all of these unconventional weapons during these buy rounds, right? A judge, it works so well with that flash too.
Whoa.
And with that peek out, she immediately backs away though
left.
to safety. That could still be used there in short, especially if Viola's going to be coming in.
All right, there it is. The third frag, and she's going for more. A flick upwards, a quadra, but Muffin Loop strikes back with a Sheriff 2K of her own. Iruma fights back with her own headshot. It's 4-1. We all kind of saw that coming, but yeah, it's like you said, Donut. Emmy goes huge on these Antigua rounds.
Yeah, and her mobility as well with how she moves within the map. It's actually very carefree, and that allows her to really claim all of these skills. And even if you're just holding a judge, right, you just are aware of what type of corners you will hold. Shum that Bila will actually push through that smoke on the side and just be ready with those kills. I think that's what's really different now for how OGX plays this map. She is now B mobile here with an operator.
Ooh. Mobile and deadly, making a lot of noise. Now they want to take this spot away from OGX. They have to do it together as a team, but still being very careful about it. Coming through, it's going to be Emmy with a first shot, Meow to trade, and then Japips trading right back. Rolling Thunder into the site, though. It doesn't quite hit Japips, so she has the off angle. The orbital strike from Aruma as well. GEX got completely decimated in this round.
Yeah, even if they had the Rolling Thunder into play, they really have to really check out other areas of the map. Because each and every time I would notice that one Phoenix would just push through one side of the site, but not clear everything else. And if you're the likes of Japips, right, you would hold that corner in these sly positions and get those kills one by one, because she is technically a bit covered by that sky smoke from that brim. That was supposed to be the sky smoke of Iruma, but she maximized it during that round. Now, GE Phoenix will call for a timeout. They do have the showstopper into play for Meow 16 and Muffin Loop's Hunter's Fury. This time, we all know them to be the duo that really brought that win to life against RRQ, and we want to see that here in Bind. They selected this map for a reason, and we haven't really seen any of those strategies just yet with how they push and just bank onto one side of the site. But everything else, they don't really look at their backs, or they don't look at everything else within the map.
It's a little bit worrisome because it's like you said, Donut. They picked this map for a reason, right? And I'm pretty sure that they've prepped a lot of strats for this. You can see in some of these positions at the start of rounds where they have a clear idea of what they want to do. The thing is, they're not really reading how OGX plays instead, though, and they're having a tough time adapting to this. So everywhere that they poke and prod, especially starting on the attack side, they haven't quite been able to get these opening picks. But this time around, a stun comes out, a shorty from Emmy to trade. I thought they had it, but OGX strikes back.
I loved how Emmy was there to save and trade that kill. She was there standing by on top of that truck, but she immediately just moved forward. And look at this, more movement for her. She doesn't quite get the kill, but the damage is there, and Twirly gets one, too.
Two more. They're just locking down these angles. Oh my gosh. Rose, though, almost making it close, but Twirly comes back in with the Phantom. Of course, same thing that we saw in round one. They had the entire site surrounded, entire site reinforced, and you were talking about Emmy so much, Donut, and you saw how she played with that shorty. So daring.
Yeah, and look at this, right? With how she moved forward, she knew that there would be a showstopper, but she would need that trade. And each and every time, I mean, there is a call for help or a call for information, she is there to get the kill. And look at her KDA at the moment. It's 12 and 3. Now she's doing all of the work and even, you know, seeking those kills, those first kills.
Oh my god. Whoa! Even then, they just turn around. I thought, you know, Meow might have been able to shut that in the back, but look at these double duelists, each watching each other's backs, and you know, keep in mind, out of those 12, 4 of them came from the judge round from before, and that's just how mobile she can be. Now that they've gotten the first pick, they're gonna hang back. She comes back in with the shorty again. The rest of Global Esports Phoenix tries to push out of bounds, but they've been smoked off, they've been flashed, and Casper ends their lives with a quadra kill, 7-1. This is looking unstoppable from OGX.
Yeah, and it's not just Emmy. If you look at the mini-map, they're all dancing around together. Each and every time, either there is a bullet from Global Esports Phoenix, then they gaze towards Bats. If they hear utility on short, they all go and lump in together. And that's why I think it's not just about the utility, but them themselves as players. They're the barrier to Global Esports Phoenix. And this time, I think it's going to be the same play for them. They're going to try again, but Bila just gonna be searching for a flank, waiting probably, but Emmy's here with an operator.
Yeah, that's the one person she didn't spot with her spy cam. The rest of the team making their way in through B long, and oh gosh, Japips! Just a drive-by. It's the same plan. OGX has control over Hookah. One difference is that this time Rose pushed the issue, picks up the Vandal, and she's been landing a lot of shots with this Sheriff. So Orangutan X now trying to reconsider their positions. They have a lot of ultimates to play with. Casper definitely wants to line up something with that Rolling Thunder. She's just not sure if they're going to be pushing. She heard the footstep though. That's going to be Rolling Thunder popped, knocked up into the air, concussed. She swings out, gets a quick double. 2 players remaining, and Muffin Loop still peeks out. Gets a quick double of her own. Still has to look for the final players though, and they are coming up all around her left and right, up and down. It's Japips with the final kill in the round. OGX. They keep on winning. Wait. No, I was wrong. They ran out of time.
And it's gonna be GE winning that round. They were all planted within the site, right? Even if Casper did catch 2 with a Rolling Thunder, they were playing back, but it was all down to Muffin Loop here. She was just really buying time, and the moment that she got the 2 kills, I think it was already a winnable moment for them. And even if Japeeps did get the final kill, I think there was a lack of communication whether or not who will actually defuse the spike, or they just really wanted to take care of all of the members of GE first before they really just tap that.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to clear it out. Maybe getting a little bit confident as well. They want to go for some of these duels, but this time around, seeing how Luka's been held by OGX for past several rounds, Meow goes in for the pinch, even gets a second one to go through the teleporter. A bit of damage outside of the A side as well, and all of a sudden, somehow Global Esports Phoenix, they've lost quite a number of players. Thing is though, Curie has the A site. Muffin is just kind of trapped outside of Garden.
Yeah, she has to be careful though. Muffin Loop, if she dies to Ruma here, who's waiting for her to push out, then the spike is going to be exposed, and that leaves Kiri in a very tough spot of, you know, trying to clutch a 1v3. So they have to move in together. They have to be coordinated with this push. Still, there's a sky smoke, so maybe they can use that as a ruse.
Emmy? She's not using it. She's just sneaking in. Spots her back, and the trigger discipline on that takes out the player, allows for Muffin Loop to get in. She has to make use of that sky smoke though, and she places it out by elbow instead. Emmy finding the shot, kind of not quite connecting it, allows for Muffin to get the spike down, so we're in for a retake.
Oh,
Aftershock.
Look at that aftershock.
And then the Blaze Storm pop from Emmy. She's going in. Oh my god, Donut. She's looking for her. Swaps to the short. He picks up the Vandal at the last second. Wallbang from Muffin Loop. And now they have time. Muffin just has to look at the right direction. Gets the shot at the end. And all of a sudden, Global Esports Phoenix looking a lot better now with the hookah control. It's 3-7.
They make it work at first. When Kiri saw Aruma there on towards the side, said, why not kill her now? And the smoke that was placed was there in the corner. It wasn't where Emmy was holding her angle, but they made it work. They knew that there was a potential threat there in Hookah. That's why they just really, you know, circled around the site and tried to get the kills one by one. A great awareness for Team GE for that round, which really calls for a timeout here for OGX. At first, we said that there wasn't really a lot of members to work with for that round, but if they do play slow and steady, just like how they did that post plant, I think they really do have a shot. So I think this timeout, they should also rethink how they would try and push a site, because usually they would just run out through the crosshairs of OGX, and that sometimes leaves us with like 10 seconds to work with before all of them are gone. So GE, I think they also have to think this through. They can play slow. They do have a lot of ultimates to work with. Kiri with the orbital strike, and even the rolling thunder for Rose again.
I mean, you were talking about timing from earlier on, and sometimes just going in a bit faster or playing around with how you're gonna take forward positions and hold is something that can throw OGX off for a second. Well, the main thing is, though, they have the ultimates. OGX has the money. And Emmy has bought up on another operator again, this time watching outside of Baths. GE's trying to approach in outside of A short, and they've managed to sneak their way in. Meow coming with the satchels. The site has been smoked off, and this is now a full-on retakes game.
That's gonna be a lot to work with too. They haven't really planted the spike. They were just waiting for a potential threat there, but Emmy, actually before the smoke even disappeared, she got the kill. And this is gonna be tricky now. Rolling Thunder's in, but Casper with her own utility. The blind is in. Bela gets perfect timing.
My ultimate is ready.
There's that lurk. Neural Theft gets used as well. Spike not down yet though, Donut, and that's where the teleporter play comes in. Japips, everyone trying to rotate as fast as possible, but you can see on the minimap that Twirly's still kind of aware that Bela could be behind them at any second. As soon as Spike goes down, they rotate back around to Hookah. And that's how Global Esports Phoenix is going to hold this. Muffin Loop, keep in mind, she has her Hunter's Fury, so playing as far away from the site as possible. Orangutan X has to push into them. They have to take the fight. If not, this retake's going to be tough. And that's something that's going to buy a lot of time for the Spike as well. A bit of a trade outside of Garden, outside of Long. Casper getting the shots. Viola out from behind. She flicks upwards, but not going to be able to connect on towards Casper. Just enough time and just another win for Orangutan X.
That was a great
Last
call
round
for
in the
Orangutan
half.
X. They knew that the Hunter's Fury was online, so instead of pushing in from spawn, they all just rotated together and tried to overwhelm them and assumed one part of the site, because GE would usually play that way, so they would just storm in all together and eliminate that Hunter's Fury from being played, and that just leaves Viola out just late to the party.
It's something that's a bit odd, because for the past several days we've seen how strong Byla can be on, you know, Killjoy or just being able to anchor down sites, but today it's these long lurks, and sometimes the timing isn't quite there. Oh no, Meow, not sure if we just saw that. Unfortunately fumbled a bit on the blast pack again, and well, they still have the site, so all's good. The spike is going to go down. Let's just see how OGX actually positions themselves around this. And keep an eye on the minimap as well, because Viola is coming in for a big old flank through defender spawn. Rose playing out close and personal, able to get down to Pips, but all the trades come through from OGX as they push out of defender spawn. And it's the same situation. Iruma sticking the spike. She's managed to get it halfway, and she knows she can keep on holding on to it. Emmy has the angle. Twirly here to support as well, and Viola, unfortunately, with the Stinger, not quite able to do so much. The first half ends with a 9-3.
Yeah, we didn't really get to see why GE Phoenix selected this map just yet. Probably they have more wins on attack here, so we're going to be seeing the Muffin Loop and Meow 16 in action. But before we get to the second half, we've got to throw it back to the panelists to see and hear what their thoughts are.
Yeah, you definitely have to. Can't forget about us. But of course, here, as we're seeing another 9-3, like a potential 9-3 curse rather, we're seeing the confidence on the side of Orangutan X, right? We're seeing the hesitation a bit from the side of Global Esports Phoenix, especially on the entry. It's a lot of the times that the rounds that were won by Orangutan X were simply just because like they hesitated, they couldn't get their way in, and they were sandwiched by Orangutan X.
Have you seen the first few rounds there, Mika? It was just all Orangutan, right? For that reason, they were absolutely confident. You have Emmy in for a reason, and she, boy, delivered. It was incredible from the start from her. Bringing out the operator, bringing out the blades, willing to go for that contact. And as long as Orangutan X could get away with that hard contact action, they kept going for it. They kept pushing. They kept playing in such an aggressive defense manner. And it really took a while for GE to kind of reel it back. We saw, though, at the very end of that half, GE had a few answers. The lurks that were incredible, that were at the right time in the right place. You could see them also go for that side control. But before anything else, before it could really snowball in GE's favor, Orangutan took that time out. They reeled it back, and from that point on, they decided, okay, we just need to time things right. Stop playing super aggressive anymore, and it still worked for them on the retakes later on.
That's right, but I feel like on the side of Global Esports Phoenix, it's still not, definitely not the momentum on their side. It's more of like the routes that they won were places wherein they caught Orangutan X kind of like a little disjointed, I guess. So I feel like, you know, there's still something that's not clicking here for the side of Global Esports Phoenix. But we're gonna see if they can manage to be able to get that synergy back, especially as we go into this next half, where they're gonna attempt to try and activate the 9-3 curse over here. Over to you, Caxus.
Well, you heard it here first from the panel, and we're going to have to continue resuming this second half because, again, Global Esports Phoenix picked this map for a reason, and although Orangutan X has put up a really strong defense, how will they fare on the attacking half?
Well, historically speaking, they won more rounds on attack compared to their defense. But I think with how OGX looks like during their defense and with their retakes so clean, I think it would be the same principle as they would go for their attack. So as long as they try and uncover what OGX has planned during their pushes, then I guess GE has a chance for them to, you know, activate that 9-3 curse.
Yeah, you gotta invoke it somehow. But currently, they're just playing really safe. Both sides are, in fact. And you have to think, like, just picking this map, they're definitely trying to maybe throw OGX off for a second. But the strats have to be strong. And right now, Curie is the first one getting contacted towards Hookah. Here's the information and places down the sky smoke. And with that first smoke baited, instantly, OGX are rotating over to the A site.
Yeah, that smoke is going to be crucial for them to use for the retake. So they just really have to let OGX try and plant down the spike, not unless Byla has some great placement for the cyber cages. And that paint shell, though, Byla's half HP.
Oh. All right, half HP, don't care. We're just going to peek out, get another frag. Casper's gone. And all of a sudden, everyone's here. Left. This party is big and it's popping off. Meow is just a little bit late. She's holding outside of B still. Thinking about the teleporter too. That's a smart hold. 20 seconds left though. OGX, if they try to plant and they get shot in the back by Meow, that is going to be bad. Left. Emmy still holding up on the A site, tries to do a little bit of damage. And there is the spike getting planted inside of the tube itself. Oh god, they pushed out of Hookah, and Naruma can't quite hold it on her own. The frenzy from Curie is good, and Global Esports strikes back.
Well, GE there, they were just planted on towards the site. They left Meow 16 there. She still had the pain shell, so that dealt a lot of damage, and the first kill just really drew up and made OGX seemed like they were crashing during that round. I mean, at that point wherein Byla got the first kill because of that tripwire just perfectly placed in the middle of the site, OGX just immediately rotated towards the B site without really checking if there will be a sense of threat there. And there was. It was Meow 16, and if GE Phoenix keep this up with how they position themselves towards the map, I guess they do have a chance here, especially with OGX and their pistols. Precision.
Well, talking about the pistols, look at how fast they go up right outside of Hookah. Curie, well, yeah, Curie had no idea that was coming. She's not going to be able to delay so much for her team now that her smokes are gone. And Twirly, oh god, she's going aggressive. Look at how the support comes in from Casper as well, just throwing the body in. And all of a sudden, this is the B site now open for OGX. Byla even bought a judge for the A setup, but now it's not going to be the most effective thing unless somehow she's able to close in the distance between her and Orangutan X. The apes are strong together, Donut. They don't have armor, but now they have specters. And look at how they're holding this.
Yeah,
right around elbow.
Fire is going to be deadly for sure.
Oh. Muffin, she had no idea, tried to make use of that little vent hole to set up a lineup, but now Time is running out. Viola has to go in, goes for a hop, but oh gosh, did not expect two players watching the angle. Twirly gets the ace.
I mean, yesterday there were a lot of criticisms when it comes to Twirly's raise, but this time she did really shine, and especially during a pistol round, we really have to give it to her. She had a lot of, you know, she was daring during that round when she pushed out Casper there with the assist, but then at 34 HP, she had nothing to fear. Basically, it's a pistol round. It's okay to lose it, right? But if we get this win, then we're fueled up for the next. And this is a buy round, mind you, supposedly, for them. But nope, all of the Spectres that they picked up is what they're gonna use for this one.
Oh no, no. Both sides getting concussed though. I mean, we were just talking about it, and this would be huge for Orangutan X's momentum, especially if they can pick up this round. But look at the positioning from Global Esports Phoenix. They are definitely fighting back for this, and they want to prevent this round from going down in the books. Still though, Orangutan X just right outside the teleporter. They're going to take it through. We do have Rose going in for a bit of a chase though, but the frenzy against like 2-3 Spectres. Oh, still holding the angle. She's able to get one. Just for the second though. It buys enough time for the entire GE squad to actually rotate over, but what they did not expect is Emmy right underneath them. She flies upwards, gets a second, blinded, doesn't matter. Muffin Loop swaps to the classic and gets a right click onto her face. Picks up the Vandal, and now she stands a fighting chance, but does not quite expect Twirly to be coming up from behind. She does turn around at this second. You can see with the way that they're peeking out one by one, just jiggling around the walls, the corners, OGX are just buying time. 16 HP left, and she cannot stand for long. OGX continues forward with this momentum.
Great momentum there for OGX, and a bit of a, I think Japeeps is saying a bit of sorry here to Emmy, because that flash, I think it was popped out a little bit delayed there, because Emmy was so ready to take on that kill. And Japeeps was there, you know, just providing her that assistance. But given that both of them were blind, both of them were shooting across that space. But eventually, of course, GE got the kill, and at that point, right, they were so careful too. Twirly, even if she got the ace in the previous round, she did not overheat. She wanted to secure that round for the team, so she dealt a little bit of damage. But when the time came, Casper was there to peek out with her. I love the changes that we see here from Orangutan X compared to how they played yesterday, because yesterday it's as if they were playing individually, but now they're waiting for their teammates to rotate. A little bit more of those calls and coordinated when it comes to the push. So I think that's one of the reasons why too, that even during the offense, like GE doesn't really have that much to work with, except for, you know, surprising them and emerging from smokes, just like how Kiri wanted to do last round.
You're 100% correct, because in all of these rounds, even on the defensive half, Orangutan X are playing together, and we saw it with how Japip supported Twirly from earlier on. This time, they're going with a full rush in towards the B site, and it's a good read, because Global Esports Phoenix, with how defensive or passive they're playing, they've decided to leave B to Viola, who, unfortunately this time, the trips are going to get picked off by the Trailblazer. Showstopper into her feet as well. And now looky here. I mean, maybe footsteps hurt, but this does buy time off of the spike as well. Rose down to 20 HP too. Everyone's gonna peek out from hookah. Gotta love how Emmy plays these fort positions. Whenever the spike's down, she's not afraid to go even deeper in, and with the Blade Storm, unfortunately a bit of a whiff, but thanks to this, her teammates are able to peek out off of it. Still though, angle's being held. It's a big firing squad, and the damage has been done! Japip's just peeking off the off angle though. They didn't expect it. One wall bang, 3 kills. It's going to be Orangutan X reaching match point.
Just when you thought that GE Phoenix will finally have another round, no, Japip just stopped at everything. She saw the head, the second kill though with that quick quick peek there from her. It was just amazing and a beautiful clutch for Japeeps. I mean,
Yeah, not afraid to
GE had the
peek.
good idea during the time. They all just went together. They wanted to overwhelm with the numbers, but you know, it's just really numbers for Japeeps. She just can't count. 1, 2, and kill.
And the timing on those two. Now though, back into it. And it's the same setup from Global Esports Phoenix Donut. Not really changing around too much, perhaps. Meow on top of the truck, trying to set up for something as they try to push in. We've already spent the Sky Smokes, Kiri. Just trying to block them off and buy more time, but recognizing that this is the final fight from Global Esports Phoenix. Orangutan X are taking it really slow, but what? Oh, we see her feet. Oh, there she's pinging it out. She's tapping away, and Emmy gets the kill through a wall thing.
That's gonna hurt. No legs. And one less member of G Phoenix for this one. Quite a reveal there, but no kill just yet. And OGX, they are also overwhelming this. Look at how they're positioned towards the map. But one by one, what was that positioning for Twirly? She pushed out of the smoke.
Gunner, my ult's ready.
And that's what you get to do with Sky Smokes. Aruma, the big support, but now the answer comes back from Global Esports Phoenix. The orbital strike, and Aruma is kind of pinned down. She has to go in for the fight. Stick it to halfway, though, is gonna be Baila, and Kiri peeks out with a judge. So we bring things back for just a second. It's gonna be 12-5.
Yeah, they really invested a lot during that round. I mean, you mentioned that before it even started, that it could be potentially the last round. So GE Phoenix, they gave it their all.
I've got your
numbers-wise, investment, look at that. 4 people in the A site. First kill goes to OGX, but the fight was there for Baila, and as well as Kiri just holding down that judge. But this time, I mean, for a defending strategy, that could work probably once or twice, but you still have a lot to climb. It's 7 rounds for them to have these clean defense before, if they want to really win this map.
It's gonna be difficult if I'm being honest, Donut. 7 rounds in a row, and they are trying to switch things up. Look at the positioning this time, trying to take the fight towards long, but OGX are ready for the peaks. Japips gets the shot, and then the Rolling Thunder comes through. Oh my god! The headshot still connects! First shot accuracy, who cares? She just holds it down. Now pushes out, trying to pick up a Vandal. Muffin secures that spacing with the Hunter's Fury, but Orangutan X with the double duelist composition. Emmy has managed to sneak her way in through to the A site. Spike planted, 3 HP on Muffin. Tries to turn away from the flash, but she can't hold it any longer. Emmy, 2 kills back to back. Orangutan X close it.
That's a great way to end this map because of Orangutan X and how Emmy played, right? That's really how an entry should be. Checking all of the corners, ensuring that you get those kills, and delivering the last final blow against GE Phoenix. And I love that, at least for the second try, when Japeeps wanted to, you know, provide a little bit of assistance. That flash, it did deliver and gave Emmy those 2 final kills.
I mean, that said, you know, we have to love these double duelists, but also, it's not over yet. We still got maybe 2 more maps. Let's see what happens on the next one. And you have to think that Global Esports Phoenix has what it takes, because they were the ones who took down RQ Kaguya yesterday. So our panelists, they're going to break this down. Let's see what you have to say, Mika and Dex. Take it away.
Thank you very much, casters. And there you have it, Orangutan X with Bind. And I feel like, you know, for the side of Global Esports Phoenix, there were just too many rounds where there were too many errors here. And it's going to be a tough thing to be able to gain back that morale as they get into the second map, because it feels like there were just so many small errors that really should not have been, you know, there.
Yeah, and then on the other hand, right, for Orangutan X, they cleaned up some of the mistakes that they've had last time they were on Bind on the attacking side. They checked their corners a little bit better. They're able to get some clear clear outs. But then again, it's not just, of course, the performance of the team, but you saw moments there from Emmy, moments especially from Japips. And we've seen from Japips, she's kind of taken more of a backline role for the squad. She's still as lethal as proven in that last map, but she's more so supporting what Emmy and Twirly are gonna do. In clutch moments, though, she can step on up. And really for Orangutan X, the fact that they've set the pace in terms of contact from the start of the game really set the tone for the rest of this map, because GE was always trying to play catch up in terms of the frags themselves.
Exactly. And you always saw GE kind of like, they were pretty much caught. It was so easy for Orangutan X to be able to pincer them. And I know that Twirly here is the MVP on the side of Orangutan X, but my eyes were on Emmy just because she was kind of like this, monster in the dark or something. You weren't sure where exactly she would pop out from. And it just felt like, because of that factor, Global Esports Phoenix just had to be on their toes and like watching their backs the entire time, because they weren't exactly sure. She would come from the strangest angles.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of the double duelist the Orangutan X plays in a map like this. When Emmy and Twirly are online together and synced on up, they are just an absolute menace to deal with. And you saw the kills, right? They were dead even in terms of the kills. We remember the ace that Twirly got on the Thrifty in the second half. And we've seen so much in this game. Orangutan X was the one in control. GE, they would have their moments, they would have their clutch times, they would also have some stellar flanks along the way. But something that the casters were able to mention is early on, they were trying to take a few too ambitious fights, and it was Orangutan who always took advantage with those picks.
Yes, exactly. And I feel like it was also like for Global Esports Phoenix, they really weren't putting themselves, their positioning, they weren't putting themselves in the literal positions for them to be able to win, for them to be able to get favorable angles. And I feel like, it was just too easy for Orangutan X to read them, especially when, they would probably Orangutan X would get those first frags and they would suddenly be caught off guard. And suddenly it was all too easy for the apes to descend on down to Global Esports.
Rise of Planet of Orangutan, and we're seeing this yet again. When Orangutan gets off to a good start, you are ready for even more to come from them. But of course, we're going to that second map. We're going into Haven, which is even better for Orangutan X. I do wonder if Global Esports can play catch-up.
I do wonder indeed. We're going to get our answer to that right after this quick break, because when we return, we're going straight into map number 2. We will be right back.
Enemy down.
Stay down.
I know exactly.
One enemy remaining. Spike down A. One enemy remaining.
Dusted.
Last player standing. Left.
Now.
One enemy remaining.
Down. Satchel out.
One enemy remaining. Spike planted. One enemy remaining.
I've got your trail.
One enemy remaining.
Welcome back, everybody. We are heading into map number 2 right now between Orangutan X and Global Esports Phoenix. We saw earlier that Orangutan X managed to take Bind with very, very little problems. And now going into Haven, I would say both of these teams have a pretty good track record on this map. But when you can take Haven off of Full Send Sapphire, I would say that maybe that slightly favors that said team, which is Orangutan X.
Oh yeah, Orangutan X, they picked this map, and like my good old partner Black and Blue loves to do the transitive property, right? If Orangutan X beat Full Sense and Full Sense beat SMG on this map, does that mean Orangutan has the best Haven here in Game Changers? Well, the stats can pretty much say so as well, Mika. They haven't dropped this at all. We mentioned it during the draft. This is their perfect pick right now to try and end it all. And really for GE Phoenix, they've already made their history to make it this top 4. They need to do so yet again just to survive to fight for Fracture.
I would prefer not to get like too mathematical about everything, but I mean, of course, we do have to look at the numbers, right? For example, for the side of Global Esports Phoenix, they have had actually a lot of experience on Haven, a lot of practice on Haven here for this current open. On the side of Orangutan X, we've only seen them twice, I believe, here on Haven, but both times were quite a dominant win. Well, Full Set Sapphire, I would say it was like pretty close, but if you can take it off of them, you'd be pretty happy.
Yeah, and you look back into the history again of Orangutan and GE. They played off against each other on Haven. It was the map number 2 in their series in the last open. And we saw from Orangutan X that if you don't stop them and their aggression, then that's where GE can crumble. It already happened on Bind. It can happen more so here on on Haven, rather, on the attacking side. And truthfully, I look at this matchup right now, and it's not just the battle of the Jets between Muffin and Twirly, but there's a big matchup right now on the Astra's. Casper on one side, who has been so stellar on the Agent, versus Meow on the other. And we see that kind of adjustment from GE, where they swap around the duelists. They put either Muffin on an initiator, they put Meow on a controller, if that's going to be the configuration. But it's still that big step up. Have GE Phoenix learned enough from the previous series, from the previous map, to mitigate the aggression that Orangutan X brings to the table? Because it seemed like near the end of the game, yes, they did stumble, yes, they did fall at the very end, but there was more of a chance for them, especially at the end of that first half, Mika, wherein they were able to find angles and the fight.
Yeah, and I also feel like, you mentioned that it's going to be an Astra showdown here, but I will also be looking at the backline. I'll be looking at the Killjoy matchup that we were talking about earlier as well, between Aruma and Viola, especially since she's the newest member to come on board to Global Esports Phoenix. We keep talking about it, but she's 15 days old into the roster, right? And which is a big ask coming here into Open 2, and now you're up against Orangutan X, potentially Full Send Sapphire as well, within the same day, right? So it's a tall order for her. This is probably her biggest challenge yet. So I'm going to be looking at that matchup very closely. There's also an interesting matchup between Kiri and Japeeps here, who will probably be doing the Sova showdown here.
Yeah, and you know what they can pretty much do. Japeeps is pretty much the secret weapon of Orangutan X in a pinch. When the front line kind of falls on the part, she can be relied on. And once we're getting into Haven, I look towards GE, and it's more of the team effort that you need. We talk about individual head-to-heads, but for Global Esports, what works is when they stack on up, when they pull these rotations. And on a map like Haven, it's pretty possible for them. The only concern right now for Orangutan, I guess, is since you still have Emmy, she's going to be playing that Breach. She already popped off in that last game on the Jet role, but now going back to a more supporting cast status for her, will Orangutan X find that balance yet again?
As we predicted, Dax, it's our mirror matchup right here. Everybody's got somebody to focus on, at least. And I feel like all of these head-to-heads are actually really, really interesting, right? You're seeing not only the skill showdown, but how well these teams can really pull everything together. Like we mentioned at the start of the panel, right? It's the theme for the series is the chemistry, especially when we're dealing with rosters that are still adjusting. So it's like, what version will they be on day 1 versus the version that they will be on day 4 and on day 5, right? It has to be evolution that is, exponentially growing here for these teams, especially since they're playing under such pressure.
Yeah, we had this concern for Orangutan, especially with all those changes. Some of those for GE, but they still stuck on that core anyway. And in the end, we have 2 different outlooks of control. For Orangutan, control of contact. On the other side for GE, it's control of rotations. Which style will win, I wonder?
I wonder indeed, but we don't need to wonder for much longer, because we can toss it on over to our casters to get into map number 2.
OGX wins, then are OGX the best Haven team for GC APAC? Now, we all know that stats can be defied here each and every day that Game Changers progresses. What do you think, Quack?
I think so, because, you know, we could talk about all the different match histories. We could talk about Orangutan X, you know, taking out Full Send Sapphire. But then also, Global Esports Phoenix lost to Haven to SMG most recently, 13-1. So it's really scary sometimes, but you never know. I mean, they left it open for a reason, and you can see why Orangutan X picked it. But when you go down into the server, when you go down into the game, things could be very different.
And I think the biggest difference here would be really Global Esports showing us how it's going to be done here in Haven, because, you know, earlier on the panelists were talking about Fracture, and we don't really want to get to map number 3 because of OGX's stacked up wins there in that map. They have a lot of experience, even if, like, for example, Chloe choosing Fade over her comfort role, which is a Sentinel, they still won that map really quite surprisingly. So GE, they have to really give it the best that they've got in this map, and especially that they're starting off on the defense. We've seen more basically like shines of light during their defense, and now we're off to like a very slow start here by OGX, just backing away.
Similar to what we saw in Bind, right? They're very careful about how they want to approach things, and maybe they're even trying to bait out pieces of utility. It definitely puts a lot of question marks in the minds of Global Esports Phoenix, as you can see that they're not really pushing out so much. In fact, it's Meow with her positioning on towards C as she jump peeks for information. The team is just kind of anticipating that someone could be close by. But right now, information instantly spotted, so let's just see how Meow can actually try to hold on to the site with everything smoked off. Poorly coming back around, getting some flicks over, and the trade still sounding true. Casper getting the instant frag back on towards Meow, and even though Byla tried to approach out from Defender spawned, this is going to be Global Esports Phoenix playing with a bit of a deficit. Aruma inside of Garage window, though, is something that they really don't expect. So second frag now coming through. Kiri, although she's still trying to push forward, all of a sudden now has turned towards her back. And peeking in and out, still with the Nebula upwards, Orangutan X secures the first win.
Yeah, if there's anybody else that you should be watching out for, it should really be Aruma. She is very deadly as the Killjoy. And earlier on, she was so sly as the Brimstone for the team and Bind. With no with the lack of the Sentinels for the team, she was really an anchor, and even more deadly during the offense, right? She finds her timings, and
One
there was
enemy
nothing that
remaining.
goes through at that
Team
point.
A.
But also the amount of the clean kills that OGX was able to get during that round was really why the pistol round should really be theirs.
Yeah, the first two opening ones, right, Donut? Still, though, we kind of saw how Global Esports Phoenix plays on this following round, and yeah, it's that site stack and leaving one player on the lurk. This time, it's going to be Muffin with her Marshall on towards C. Doesn't really see anyone. The rest of the team slowly pushing up together with all classics in hand. Straight up towards window. To Pips, she sees him, goes back in to spray, run, and gun triple kill. Well, that leaves Muffin Loop alone.
Yeah, I thought that would be big for GE Phoenix if they found the timing, but it was bigger for the Pips. But Muffin Loop, she's fighting and getting these kills. The first one, though, there are still 4 remaining.
Repositions back towards Garage. She hears the hops. Thing is, just needs to get that distance in. Aruma just instantly backing off as well. And, well, it's kind of like the whole ring around the rosy thing again. The spike just slowly taking off. Everyone from Orangutan X are watching through middle. She swaps over to a Spectre and manages to get one more frag, though, so that's not too bad. Another ultimate point. One more for Casper as well. And the spike going off.
If there's anything, that round was a game of hide and seek. The team members of GE Phoenix hiding in the middle. But then, of course, it's going to be Japeeps finding them and getting the kills, at least most of them, during that bloodbath fight. And at the end of it, right, Muffin Loop is trying to find the timing to get those kills. But Aruma just backs away. She knows when to move from the crosshairs of Muffin Loop. And this time, though, now that they have the buys, OGX does have at least a Bulldog and a Spectre for them in terms of firepower. But I'm not doubting at all Twirly's Ghost could potentially get the first kill.
Well, she did kind of have the crosshair placement, just not quite connecting it. You gotta respect the rifles in the hands of Global Esports Phoenix after all. Main thing is, if she can hold this position long enough to buy some rotations over, maybe get a couple of picks, pick up a weapon or two, this could be big for Orangutan X. The support is here from her teammate, but still a very precarious spot to be in as Kiri swings out and takes her down. Spike, however, in all this time will go down towards the B site, and the links have been smoked off. Allows for Casper to set up camp in towards back site. Aruma now trying to do her thing, going through garage, but this time Global Esports Phoenix expects it. Two players outside by window, and they managed to take her down, but all of this just buys a little bit more time as well. Casper has to flick back and forth, can't quite do it as the entire team surrounds her. Two players left, and they are just dumping utility now. Emmy trying to do what she can, but well, I think we actually might have enough time. Japips just might have done it. She did, getting the kill all the way from window, and Emmy's still alive. This is the bonus round win for Orangutan X.
Yeah, and that wasn't what we expected, right? GE Phoenix, they had everything in terms of the steps for the retake. Ensure that we have the info, that's check. Clear every corner, check. But what they didn't know was the amount of utility that OGX had to offer during that post plant. First, the aftershock, and then the recon bolt. And even if there were a lot of heads there, even the placement of that smoke, I really doubted at that point because nobody else was trying to protect the one defending the spike. So GE Phoenix, there's a lot to recover from that round. They don't have enough for this fourth. Muffin Loop just tries to get the kill, but just backs away. Damage has been done to her instead.
You can check positions. How do you check utility, donut? You can't really, right? You just have to make a mental note. And right now, the mental note that Orangutan X are making is that, well, GE had a couple of players outside of A and still not expecting them to peek out from A short. That's going to be Casper losing her head. No more smokes available for Orangutan X. They still have a lot of guns, though, so maybe this just comes down to the duels! I said it! And Kiri comes up big, but not before Aruma comes back in for the trade. Now, Sight in control. Spike will go down. 3 sheriffs coming up from Global Esports Phoenix. I like that you see Meow16K on a bit of a flank, though, because she might be able to retrieve a weapon from that spot. Twirly is going to try to push further in. Who's going to be deadlier here is the question, Donut. Turret placed out, and it does bait the peek in. Twirly just kind of thrown off, wants to get herself out of dodge. So the Aftershock does buy a bit of time. Nanostorm as well. Meow, she's managed to pick up the Vandal, and she's coming up from long now. Able to get the first, gets a second. Aruma has to stay alive. The Nanostorm burns Meow away, and that just might have done it. Rose, 2 rounds left in the chamber, and now she's just looking for the final frag. That's the best that she can hope for, but it's still a round win for OGX.
Yeah, they did everything that they could do at that round. I mean, Meow16K getting the kills from the back. You said that the flank could make all of the difference. But at that point, it was time also, you know, ticking away because of that spike. You said it was also about the duels, but at this point, OGX really won them, of course. Because of the sheriffs in hand for GEX, I feel like it was all about how they were positioned on towards the site and how they would want to try and eliminate the team of OGX one by one. They did get
Yeah.
the side already, but Aruma was still there, just holding down. Even with herself, smoked off, she could still potentially get that win because of all of the traps really laid out on towards that side.
The traps. I mean, I think that's the kind of thing. The round at the start, right, Donut? It looked kind of sloppy. Losing a couple players with Curie and then maybe Rose with their sheriffs. It was a good bit of damage, but then the trades came through. And the one thing that kind of always perturbs me about Global Esports Phoenix is sometimes if they're on the other side of the map, they take so long to rotate over that by the time they, secure positions or even get frags on the site, they can't defuse.
Yeah, they just want to be sure. And probably the call was if and when the spike is planted, and then that's when they move. But I guess that type of movement and that type of call just really, they couldn't find any more opportunities to get those kills. Because even if, like, Meow 16 was there for the flank, she did move quite slow, even as she was closing in on the spike, and it left them with around 12 seconds before Rose can actually diffuse it. So, yeah, I mean, the timing when it comes to the rotations is something that GE should be able to improve.
But sometimes it's also like maybe Meow really had no choice, right? Because she wanted to really come in with this flank and not make a single peep so that OGX would not be able to expect her, especially since she's picked up a Vandal. She did manage to get 2 kills with that after all, but I don't know. Maybe sometimes just, asking for your teammates to buy their attention, divert the attention away from OGX so that they would spend more time towards defender spawn, make more noise with I don't know, utility or just spamming shots away. That could allow for Meow to creep up a little bit more safely, perhaps. Just maybe. But whatever it is right now, it's a tech pause, Donut. This seems to happen whenever I'm around.
Actually, I think that is true. Yesterday, we didn't really have a technical pause. We had a lot of timeouts, which is, essential if you want to win. But I think this is glued to you.
Okay, I see where this is going. Yeah, it is my. I'm really sorry, everyone. It's my fault. You can divert all the hate towards me, but the main thing is, I want to think about how Global Esports Phoenix can come back into this. You've got the Blade Storm, you've got the Cosmic Divide, and since they saved from the previous round, they've managed to buy up. And given the damage that they did, they also put a dent in Orangutan X's economy. So although this is a 0-4, I dare say that if GE Phoenix can win this round, they might be able to start chaining more wins together.
Yeah, and I think it's also the variety of how they would defend the sites, right? Because you would really see how accurate they are. They would usually just hold these defensive positions like behind the boxes on the C site. They're in a link, but in terms of the push, I think they tried it during the second round when they were on pistols. I think they should try more of those to try and catch OGX off guard. The first thing that they could really take a look at would be the variety of how they would defend. Mix it up a little bit, provide a little bit of aggression, catch OGX off guard. But the second one is it's all about the timing of the rotations. I think we pointed that out earlier on. If they manage to find those timings and they play as a team, set up these crossfires for the retake, or even try and defend the site just like this, right? Then they may be able to find a chance.
What? Wait! Oh, you're talking about finding a chance, and somehow by chance or by skill, Muffin Loop turns around and gets a spray transfer. Twirly continues to go with a shorty, and she managed to cut them off just as they try to push in for a second. Spike will go down, Rolling Thunder in, and they want Garage. But here comes that Owl drone. No, Kiri! I think it was a recon, I'm not too sure, but the Hunter's Fury is what really did it all at the end. Her teammate gone, and now the spike open. She goes in for the stick, managed to get it halfway, but here comes OGX, Twirly from C Long, and well, Kiri does not expect it. So Talking all of it up, it's still going to be 5-0 for OGX.
Yeah, with that round though, I guess if Gary didn't really, take a team kill, would that have been a different story? Or at the same time, at least during that round, we had Muffin Loop and Meow 16K with both of their ultimates. They still have it online now. There could be some ultimate economy management that they are dealing with at the moment, because at that point, right, if you already have your cosmic divide and you hear that fast push, what are you first gonna do? Would you let Muffin Loop try and take those kills, or try to defend it as much as you can? I think that though there were a lot of quote unquote slips during that time, that specific round, but
from OGX as well, right?
yeah, from OGX too, for sure. But it just has it has to be which team would be able to recover from those slip ups, I guess.
Yeah.
And OGX just really manages to do so well.
And they did with Twirly dashing in on a shorty and everyone getting those trades at the end. I mean, talking about slip-ups, yes, OGX definitely did a little, and that's kind of how Muffin Loop picks up her double. But at the same time, I do want to commend Kiri, because although that was a bit of a team kill, you could see her idea for trying to block off Garage. Meow, she wanted to protect her, and just happened to get caught in line of sight. Now, it's going to be the full buy. It's going to be a full save from Global Esports Phoenix. So full rush straight in towards the C site and the Cosmic Divide to block them off.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of time before that actually
Wow, the
just
placement
falls
of
down.
it.
Here.
It's a tiny little gap.
They can actually creep in, and then probably just push out. But Muffin Loop for that first kill might be a big difference. But Iruma just really pushing through, getting all of these kills. But Kiri is there to deliver, and Muffin Loop clean things up with the Blade Storm. Element of surprise was seen for GE Phoenix, and they get the first round back.
And it's one of those rounds where we're just going a little bit faster. We have Muffin coming up from the flank with her Blade Storm. I guess something that maybe Orangutan X didn't really anticipate or play around. So the first rack really opens things up. And at the same time, we were kind of talking about the space and how they have to rotate faster. They did. They managed to push out of the Cosmic Divide, and Orangutan X, just everyone got eliminated. So able to buy back up now, and we were talking about that economy because of all those kills from the previous rounds. OGX can't really buy back up, save for Torley, of course, but she's on a Phantom and she has a Blade Storm. What's she planning to do?
Probably just feel safe if they oh, and that investment just put to waste there. Meow 16 just gets the kill.
I was wondering if she was trying to sell a bit of a fake, but she went straight from mid to B. Global Esports Phoenix just gets a read on this. A good frenzy kill, though, from Iruma. And we're trying to trade things up, but at the same time, we've lost a couple of players now, so we're going to have to reassess the situation. Iruma, just able to sneak up by this entrance outside of B. Can't really spot anyone. Nobody peeks in or out, so that's that discipline from Global Esports Phoenix.
Yeah, I think the reason why they're going to A is they have the lockdown as well, so that's able to buy up some space. And if ever using these short-range weapons with the Frenzy and the Spectre, they'll be able to at least cover a bit of ground here
30 seconds left.
near where the entries are. But Muffin Loop is
planted.
trying her best.
Nowhere to run!
First kill.
Whoa. Yeah, I was thinking about it. Then the Hunter's Fury comes out really early. Lockdown now placed, and it just forces Global Esports Phoenix into their line of sight. Well, Muffin Loop is prepared to fight, and she gets the heads-up duel. Aruba tries to fight back as well and picks up a Vandal, but only 7 rounds left in the mag, and not expecting Muffin Loop to push into the Nebula. She's gonna get taken out instead. 3K for Muffin on this round, and a second win for Global Esports Phoenix.
Yeah, that lockdown put down a little bit late gave them a bit of confidence. Just smoke every entry point or every site
You should
for GX, and then they would push out forward. That gave them more
remaining.
confidence actually. And Muffin Loop just getting all of these kills, first clearing out a main, and then moving in towards short once that lockdown really hit. But I think one of the things that GE Phoenix
Right
did
here.
so well was the confidence. They knew that OGX was on
Revealing area.
eco.
Get out of my
There they
way.
are.
And they confidently took those fights, especially with Muffin Loop at the helm. Definitely a questionable round from OGX in the previous one. But now they've managed to save up. We've got the buys. We've got the Blade Storm from Torley, and she was trying to fly upwards to see if anyone was hiding behind this one little corner. Curie has managed to sneak in thanks to those nebulas, though, and now the Blade Storm, well, and the Owl Drone comes out. Surely they shove her out of this one spot, though, and with the Aftershock spent, she's gonna have to back off. She hears the footsteps, the flash comes out, and that's gonna be Curie able to find the first. Rose coming in with a big assist at the crucial time. Rolling Thunder popped as well. Oh my god, Emmy tries to save her team. It's gonna be the flashpoint popped. Aruma continues to spray despite being knocked up, and she manages to get one. Rose shoots back though, and then the recon bolt. Japips wants blood. She definitely smells it, but everyone just backs off, sensing danger. Muffin Loop trying to stay alive. You want to protect your queen on the board, but the main thing right now, Donut, is
30
gonna be
seconds
Byla
I need
in
a
this one little corner. I don't think Orangutan X expects this at all. Aruma trying to pull off a lurk of her own. Meanwhile, the team heads towards the A site.
Yeah, it's gonna be another hide and seek, but I think Byla did catch her a bit.
Here.
10 seconds.
10 seconds left. One enemy
Might not
remaining.
get the
Oh,
kill.
come on.
Ninja Peeps here with 5 seconds. She is gonna be courageous there, with no time to plant the spike. Runs
Scanning
out of
ahead.
time, and another round for GE Phoenix. It was all about the timing.
What
I
do you
love
say,
the
bro?
idea of
Ready to stretch your
going
wings?
back to the A site because it was more of a distraction. The silence there let GE Phoenix think that they would already be rotating, but Byla actually, it wasn't just the corner. The amount of space that she took, but the information that she had, because it was so silent. Now she
Yeah.
passed that
10
on
seconds
to
left.
her team members.
enemy
I assume that it would be A, and that's why
Die.
Muffin Loop was there and ready, and even Rose here to try and buy more time through that stun.
The timing on the rotation towards the A side, you're talking about how quiet it was. And the idea is great, but you really have to credit how Muffin Loop has been playing these past 3 rounds, because she's the one holding down the line. She's the one kind of picking up on a lot of these heads up duels. As OGX tried to get the spike planted towards A, as they tried to approach in, Muffin Loop got the first frag, and that bought so much time away from Japips. Although Japips does get those trades and those frags at the end, can't really do much with it if your teammates are gone, and with that fault line being sent into you as well. So, well played from Global Esports Phoenix, and the past 3 rounds have been a little bit sloppy from Orangutan X. Let's see if they can pull themselves together after this timeout.
It's interesting to me that Meow16K still has this Cosmic Divide. She hasn't really used it either to defend or for the retake just yet. Probably they're saving it for something big and with another combination of an ultimate. So let's see, because Byla has the lockdown too,
Here.
so this is going to be a crucial utility for them to try and opt for the retake. But Twirly knows Rose is here, and she does! She gets the kill!
Cuts her head clean off. Oh, Byla holds Garage on her own as well. And she has been doing so much with these silent positioning plays. Now Twirly's gonna be the one going through trying to eliminate her, and she does! Oh my god! A 3rd kill in the round! I thought that Byla might have been able to use the lockdown, but not anymore!
Deploying drone.
Curie going to try to flush Twirly out of position, puts out the Owl Drone, tags on the Casper instead, and Twirly just manages to hold her ground. The Owl Drone expires, and now she hops up. The spike's about to go off. Twirly's continuing to go in, buying more time away. Oh no, the tailwind whips, and Twirly 1v8, she gets it! ADS one tapped away. It's Orangutan X 6-3.
Each and every map, Twirly gets an ace. Earlier in Bide, it was a pistol round, and this time they had a strategy to uncover here. They smoked out the side of the back bomb there.
One enemy remaining.
And she just crept through. Instead of it being Iruma, it was her, and she was being a nuisance, dancing around the site, getting the kills one by one. And that was just amazing from her. She was just really, you know, not using a recon bolt, she was using her own body just to get that information.
So aggressive, so fast into B, and then slips in and takes Garage. This time she's in towards short. And well, Global Esports Phoenix is just trying to get a lucky tap onto her Rose, trying to get information off of this as well, but okay, now we're a little bit more serious on trying to pin down. What? She got pulled in and she still landed a shot despite. Oh my
Spike
goodness!
down, B.
She crouches and she gets it. Global Esports Phoenix tries to apply pressure elsewhere, and they do manage to get a couple of frags, but then the spike goes down towards the B side. Donut. The Hunter Sphere does not do anything.
Nothing to stop and nothing to destroy though, but Viola has her lockdown, and that's gonna cover the cold front of the B site. But mind you, this has been what OGX has been planning for the post plant. Use all that utility. First, Japeeps uses the drone, but Kiri knows that somebody's behind that. So there's no spamming. If they actually held that, at least to half, then they would have won the round. But Kiri goes big with a double and transfer, and Japeeps gets a headshot, but finishes up the round. OGX, bit messy, but they clean it up with a 7.
And just with the final few seconds, it's all thanks to Japips with her sharp shooting accuracy outside of window. Again, with all of these rounds, you have to commend how Orangutan X are able to recover from their losses. Losing a little bit of space because of the lockdown from Bila and maybe a bit of a frag from Curie as well. I mean, that double spray transfer was great, but then, oh my god, Orangutan X, this time, trying to spread themselves across the board. They're playing default.
Twirly has been trying to play in the A main space ever since they started on attack. And that's good though, because it keeps GE Phoenix away, trying to keep them off the track.
What is... Muffin is under mid window.
Yeah, and she gets the first kill.
Phylon wants the Vandal, or at least to get further information. Orangutan X having gotten a little bit of control over A, they've... I think they were thinking that they got the rotations baited over to the A site, but because of those tiny couple of frags outside of C, outside of mid, I think Global Esports Phoenix has this situation red, don't it?
Yeah, they win A main control, but they lose mid altogether, and Muffin Loop is here with that quick blade. What was that second shot? A jump through and a headshot?
It's just magical things happening in front of our eyes. 2 players left from OGX, and with the Cosmic Divide, they're trying to hold their ground. Japips able to get one more, but as she goes back towards Garage, Global Esports Phoenix, with their lines of sight locking down those angles, they turn us into a 4-7.
Yeah, they did try to win A main because they wanted to at least slowly creep up there, but as they rotated, Muffin Loop has been so great. You mentioned this. She's always going to be in the front lines, catching the first person off guard there in mid, and then instantly rotating where she needs to be with that Blade Storm. The second shot, though, during that time, when she updrafted, it was kind of like a drive-by kill, fadeaway shot, and it's magnetic to the heads of OGX. Now they have to be careful without her being on the front lines. Swirling tries to answer back with her pushing forward, getting the dink, but not the kill.
Well, the despite the dinks, you can't do anything against the judge. And Orangutan X continue to push outside of C-Long. They managed to bring control back towards their side. Spike will now be planted, but utility not so great for Orangutan X, perhaps, except for Japips and her shock darts. Casper holding the off angle, though, able to do the damage, and Emmy cleans it up. Rose, despite her best efforts, will not be able to turn this into a 7-5. It's going to be an 8-4 instead.
Yeah, but an 8-4 is really better than anything that we could imagine, at least for GE Phoenix. They lost 4 rounds straight, but they emerged victorious for some of the rounds. But let's hear what the panel has to say for the first half in Haven.
8-4, not a 9-3 at least, but it still is heavily favoring Orangutan X. I like what I'm seeing more here from Global Esports Phoenix, though. You're seeing them dare to push Orangutan X, like pull them out of whatever strategy they had prepared for Haven, right? You can see them kind of like, you know, trying to get them out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, we were talking about it near the end of the first map. We saw from Global Esports there was a lot more of a fight in them, that they tried to just pick apart the step-by-step process of Orangutan X, and you saw it, right? Players like Viola getting into really good angles, Muffin willing to challenge as well. Global Esports could stand toe-to-toe with Orangutan X for a number of those rounds. But in the end, though, it's still overwhelming from Orangutan, and it's a twofold thing. One, their executes are absolutely sublime. They're very quick at getting into those sites and forcing that contact. And two, we're getting some vintage players back on track here, Mika. Not only do we get vintage Japeeps, where she's just bragging out on a very comfortable Sova, being absolutely clutch as before, but I'm seeing twirly shades of those Bren Victress days. The second ace of the series on the second map. She just takes command. She's not just a human recon bolt. She is just there to take every single player of Global Esports down. And for Orangutan, that's what has bailed them out in many a situation. Their overwhelming firepower has kept GE on their toes.
And you can see it, right? The renewed confidence, I guess, in Twirly when she knows that she has that support from initiators like Emmy and Japeeps, right? She knows that they have her back, so she's not scared at all. You can see those fearless plays, the same fearless plays that we did see, as you mentioned, Dax, in the Bren Victress race, right? When she was backed up by Alexi, for example. But I think that, like, you know, on the side of Orangutan X, now that the side switch, they need to be able to sustain that momentum, because as we saw from the earlier map, they can wobble a little bit for the first few, but we're gonna see if they can manage to stabilize it, especially since they need that stability heading into what could potentially be a very long day for them. But let's see how this turns out. Over back to the casters.
Thank you very much, Mika and Dex. Hearing the name Bren Victress again, Donut, just it kind of makes you feel things, you know?
Yeah, it's very nostalgic here. I mean, it was really I could imagine the glory days year, but given the shuffles and the shifts that we're seeing brand new stories from the likes of GE Phoenix now and the team of OGX. No matter how OG Japeeps would be, there's still something new to see for this team.
Well, apart from Japeeps so far, Muffin Loop has been the big opener for Global Esports Phoenix, and now she's managing to go all the way towards the back of sight. The support from Rose is great, and the flashpoint completely blinds Twirly. Meow even pushes in off of it. Byla here to hold as well. A couple more frags, and that's all they need. Muffin Loop holds the angle, and that's going to be the pistol round win for Global Esports Phoenix.
That is it. Muffin Loop earlier you're on, just carrying in that momentum. And I think the panel mentioned that stability that is seen, that should be expected from OGX, but GE Phoenix, they're the ones carrying this on. And in terms of consistency, Muffin Loop has been so great on being in the front lines. And at the moment, right, look at her KDA. She's 18-9, topping the server at the moment. And I love that follow-through support of Rose. If it's gonna be extended to OGX, I think Rose being so carefree. Muffin Loop is now. Look at her.
Unleashed, Donut. She's even just bravely taking a step down A-long in towards the site. Japeeps is a little bit more paranoid on the other hand. She knows she has to watch long, but she also has to look at short as well in case there's a secondary push. And here it comes, just a spray through the nebula. Twirly gone as well. Emmy able to do a bit of damage from Hell, and that's the best that they can hope for. Aruma's the only one left. She's making her way downtown through A-Link with nothing but a turret and a classic. Creeps up front. And the rest of them are just holding these angles. I mean, you know this setup. 1 by A short, the crossfire setup, 1 extra inside of Hell. And the fault line comes out. They're gonna start hunting. Alright, not yet. I got a little bit overexcited. Aruma's just trying to do whatever she can, right? She doesn't want to give away any more alt points. I mean, look at this. Rose is 3 away from her Rolling Thunder. So just waiting out the time, die to the spike, that's a bit of a win as well.
Yeah, that's a win. At least the ult orb goes to her instead of GE Phoenix. But I love that you mentioned that she was making her way downtown, but you know what she really
Walking
needed?
fast.
Yes. She needs her teammates at that point. But yeah, I think everything else during that round really went in favor of GE Phoenix. There were scattered nebulas all throughout the site, and Rose had a great idea. Maybe somebody would be hiding behind that smoke. And she just spammed through both of those smokes and got headshots through it and confirmed 2 kills. And because of that, right, they already took control of that site. Muffin Loop here, yet again, just quick and fast, just claiming mid for her own, but Twirly, and as well as Emmy is just waiting for them in a crossfire.
Oh, the crossfire has to be good. She spots a sliver, but here comes that same setup. Aftershock, and then Muffin Loop to go in towards the back of sight. Japips this time was ready to receive. And off the quick contact, Global Esports Phoenix make the fast push in towards C. Recon not quite landed where you want it to be, so it's a great read, a great hold from OGX, the last player coming up from long. The spike lost, and well, kind of delivered over to OGX. A good peek and a good headshot, but that's the best they can get. And now we have a very nice scoreline. It's going to be 6-9. OGX coming back.
Yeah, only 1 casualty there, and it was Japips. They could easily buy up another rifle for the next round because of the kills that they stacked up, so that wouldn't really necessarily be a problem. But the amount of effort that Japips was able to do for that specific round was rotate towards B, get the first kill, try her best to defend Twirly, who was at the top, who was so exposed. So that defense during that round was not just to defend the spike, but also to defend your teammates who were struggling in that round. And a quick rotation towards C, wherein she tucked herself there by logs, and she gets 2 kills because of just that position that she held. GE Phoenix, though, in terms of this attack, they should be, you know, more cautious about where OGX would usually be, because these normal spots you would usually clear, but because of the pressure they didn't.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate, but at the same time, it's something that's always going to be there, that pressure. And you know, to be a winner, you have to be someone who knows how to work your way around it. And that said, just to keep in mind, this is lower round 3. If Global Esports Phoenix doesn't mount a comeback, if they lose this map, that is it for their run for this open.
Deleting that info. Muffin Loop, though, still charges forward here with that flash. She does try to claim a main, but Emmy and as well as Twirly, they will be waiting here by short. They will be checked by this drone. But only Twirly.
Good hit. Ooh! Only Twirly was checked. Emmy was not expected to be in this one spot, and the sudden peek out with a flashpoint. It's 2 frags back to back, and again, now a Global Esports Phoenix that has to recover from this. They are being smart about it, though. Rose holding the Rolling Thunder. If anyone well, okay, I thought she was going to listen for footsteps, but instead she uses it to clear the site so that they can retake it and get the spike planted. Thing is, now they have to work their way against numbers, don't it?
Yeah, and it's going to be another Bermuda Triangle here for OGX. They're closing in slowly but surely, checking the corners here for Emmy. But I think they will just really pincer from the front and from the back. Twirly spots out Rose here, but Rose is going to be ready for that stun.
Oh. She's blocked off by the Cloudburst as well, so she can't peek off the stun if she wants. It comes down to Muffin. But you were absolutely right, Donut. It's coming down to that pinch from the front and the back. Casper, just bullet to the back of the head, and well, another win in a row for Orangutan X, and I think the next round might have to be a save for GE.
Yeah, I think if the sequence of how they took that site could have been reversed, right? They took it first, planted down the spike, and then use the Rolling Thunder, that would have been a different round altogether. Because if you are going to be overwhelmed by numbers by that Bermuda Triangle, then use that Rolling Thunder for that post plant instead. That could have been a really pivotal utility for them to use to try and, you know, buy some time, get the kills.
Such a strong ability, but I think that's the thing about Global Esports Phoenix, is that sometimes they really want to play it safe.
Enemy kill.
But this time, given the pistols and the pressure that you were talking about earlier on Donut, sometimes that causes you to make some mistakes as well and get a little bit careless. So a bit of a frag out from Twirly with her operator. And everyone's rotating back towards her, actually. Are they looking to get a first pick onto her somehow? Actually, just blocking it off with a Nebula. Muffin does have the Blade Storm, so hopefully she's able to work her magic with that.
She has been so good with it. Remember that fadeaway shot that she was able to get? She needs another one of those rounds for her.
Whoa.
Of course, that stun comes in. Blade Storm online. She does use the Cloudburst. Is she?
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
she
okay.
is. She's gonna dash in towards it, but they don't check the corner, and Japips gets a free kill. Immediately traded out though. And Emmy and Twirly getting all of these kills, and the third one for Twirly. She does pop out the Blade Storm, but now 16k puts her to sleep.
Okay, Sheriff versus Vandal. Nebula, it's gonna be popped, and she wants to retrieve the gun. 10 seconds left, and she's running out of time, so we're gonna have to stick the spike down first. She has no idea where Casper's coming from, because it could be long, could be short. So she's gonna use her Nebula to try to hide inside it for a second, backs herself in towards Hell, and it comes down to the first tap. Fortunately, not quite able to land it, with Casper just swishing aside. She gets it instead and picks up the operator for Twirly. It's, well, more than double digits now for Orangutan X.
Yeah, I think what gave her away was the position as to where she planted the spike, right? When you would usually just plant at the back, you can't really defend it from a main. So that was the first area that Casper would check. Muffaloop here hit a lot of great shots, and even Twirly being shut down here by Meow16 Sheriff. And even if Meow16 is so stellar with that weapon, it was just that fling and that swing.
Yeah. At close range too, so it's tough when they swing like that.
Annoying too.
Well,
because you would expect, right? You already have your crosshair placed so perfectly, but nope.
Oh my god! You also don't expect Twirly to peek out a garage, don't it? Oh no!
That was another fling and swing there by Twirly.
It's just again so good, and you look at how Orangutan X seizes the initiative away from these rounds. Global Esports Phoenix haven't really been able to recover or convert 4v5s into wins, so they're in a tough spot. And considering the fact that this is 6-11 now, Donut, if they can't bring something back, it's gonna be match point. They're gonna be on a 4-spy on the match point round. It's not great, Donut, and they're really gonna have to do whatever they can to convert this around. Iruma is going to try to anchor the site from the off angle as well, though. Look at that placement from the Nebula. Gravity Well just pulls them in for enough time. The spam through the smoke will be able to take Iruma out, though, and Japips deleted as well. Judge up front with Emmy,
30
and then
seconds
she's
left.
able to take down Meow, but here
Spike
comes
planted.
Twirly, as well as Casper. What? All right, she swapped over to the Vandal instead. Casper
One
sneaks
enemy
up, and they don't expect her to be there. A bit of a crossfire, but Rose saves it. The Thorns peeks out of her, and that's going to be 7-11. Global Esports hangs on by a thread.
That was amazing from Rose. We mentioned the pressure, right? But out of all of them, I think if there's going to be pressure on towards the site with the Nebulas from Casper trying to protect their room as much as possible, she actually gets a kill through the smoke. And now during the post-plant position, when there is a tremendous amount of pressure, she keeps her calm. She keeps her cool and gets the kills anyway. And GE Phoenix, I think one of the things that could be a semblance of hope here would be Rose really with all of those, the map awareness that she has.
My ultimate is ready.
Yeah, that map awareness. And right now the ultimates as well. I think Donut, they're probably gonna hold on to those, considering the fact this is a save round for Orangutan X.
There is a stun ready there for Emmy though.
Spike planted.
Emmy just gets a kill with an Ares, and they are ready to strike. And Casper is going to go
Player
down
standing.
to Viola. Actually, she gets three there. Clean round for GE Phoenix to get everybody else out of the way. Now it's an 8-11. Earlier on, the gap was 4. It was bigger earlier on when OGX during the first few rounds of the half, but now they're easily closing in the gap, just being very slow and very sure about things.
And we're looking for that stability. You were talking about it earlier before. Our panelists were talking about it as well. Global Esports Phoenix needs to restabilize. And at the same time, for Orangutan X, they need to hold on to what they've got as well. Both teams just fighting for that spot and to fight against Full Sense Sapphire. This time, trying to set up for a C hit. We've got the Nebulas propped up, and Casper's trying to do her best. You've got Aruma inside the garage, though, and that's what I'm looking out for. So although Casper's hit by the Rolling Thunder, they've been blocked off, they've been concussed, with such a fast rotation coming from Emmy as well. That ultimate is now somewhat wasted, and Global Esports Phoenix has to make a quick rotation around. Twirly is right here, and she is waiting for them.
And there's going to be a crossfire setup between her and Japip, so you have to be careful about this. They all walk their way through A, though. Japip is going to be the first one to peek out. Great kill for her, but trades come in. Now 16 gets her own headshot. And the spike is there, waiting to be planted.
Okay. Emmy silently hops up. Well, she heard the spike being picked up, and now the Cosmic Divide just blocks her off completely. She falls, and Meow's on the other side, shoots her as she drops down. A sudden quick peek from Casper. A sudden secondary drop from Aruma. Something that they did not expect at all, but Byla saves it for a second with the lockdown. Casper's gone as well, so now she's trapped inside of Hell. Tries to claw her way out and places down the turret for a bit of safe cover. Did not expect Rose to wrap back around towards a link, though. And all of a sudden, Global Esports Phoenix coming back strong into the game.
Yeah, I loved that they made a decision after that Rolling Thunder, even if they missed to convert a kill with it. That decision to rotate towards A and then get the kills first and then plant down the spike. That additional cover with that Cosmic Divide 2 just really set them up for success. Just avoiding OGX from just quickly retaking, because when it comes to the retakes, OGX would just really overwhelm, and that Cosmic Divide just slowed everything down.
It's such good timing and placement of it, especially with how it completely blocks off window, and also the lockdown too. And that's really how Global Esports Phoenix are starting to adapt to this pressure. So I'm really, thankful for Orangutan X to, Coach Gunner to call this timeout, because they sorely needed this given how their lead is slowly starting to be washed away. They're back on another save. Aruma has a lockdown and Twirly is close to a Blade Storm, but I don't think this is the round to use it. It comes down to their holds and how they're going to play the next round if they really want to turn things around, unless a Thrifty somehow makes its way and into our eyes right now.
Yeah, yesterday was a day of thrifties, to be honest, but this one, I think we have more abundance of aces, at least. Well, we see an ace from Turley, and not necessarily for this round, but, you know, Muffin Loop leading the charge yet again, and then just claiming space. They really have to just be worried about would be all of the utility and enemies after the shock. She gets the kill, she drives by, she uses the frenzy, but she runs out of bullets. Still Casper's here to make a save, and
Last player standing.
but Thrifty's there for the save. You asked for a thrifty, you get a thrifty.
I didn't think it was gonna happen like this though, Donut. Whoa. That was fast. I mean, the aftershock. Emmy really held down that side by herself. And the decision to buy up on frenzies from OGX, they all came in swinging.
They swung out, just did a spray. After that, Emmy did lose a bit of bullets, right? She didn't have to reload, but she quickly just made the decision. I'll reload, I'll peek again, and Twirly with that last frenzy kill. That's gotta hurt at least both the mindset of GE Phoenix and as well as the economy with one Spectre Fury.
Off your feet!
Oh, but this time, alright, she let a lot of them slide and sauced her shorty to try to hold. The rest of them making their way out of A short, but it was completely blocked off by Casper. And keep in mind, this match point, so this could be it for Global Esports Phoenix. It's a 3-on-5. They did it once before, but now every single angle being held against them. Donut, this could be it. The Owl Drone spots them both, and Rose is 100% pinned down. Emmy spotted her and wants to try to find her. Goes for the wall bang, spray transfers over onto her head, and that's going to be 2 players left from Global. They can't really make their way out of short either. I didn't realize this. Twirly is watching the other angle with her operator. Oh god, the turret has to tank it. It doesn't quite do it. And Meow tries to stay alive, but she gets tagged. Spike dropped. Byla last 1v5. This is near impossible, but she tries to do it anyway. Gets a couple, goes for the reload, and swings back out. 30 seconds left. Lockdown placed. Oh my god, Donut. Enemy comes out with a big spray and a swing. And Orangutan X celebrates their win. It's 2-0. And I guess lights out. We're going to sleep.
Lights out, they're gonna go to sleep and move on to the next series though, which is a bigger hurdle for them to actually face. It was a good try for GE Phoenix. We saw some rounds wherein they were so convincing when it comes to the attacks. Whenever they would just make one single decision, okay, this is a great one, and how they would hold those post plants, I think that's what made them convincing. But I think OGX, for some time during the timeouts, they really just thought about how do we at least do the same type of push. I mean, the strategies that they did for the offense and the attack was the same one that they did for the retakes, and it worked so well.
You can see the coordination, but also credit to Global Esports Phoenix. A lot of these players came up huge towards the end, but you know what? It's not time to sleep yet because our panelists will talk us through this, and after that, we also have Full Send Sapphire in the lower bracket final. So Mika and Dex, talk us through it.
I mean, it is nice to see that Orangutan X are in high spirits indeed, because they're gonna need that energy as they proceed through our day and meet Full Send Sapphire. They will be advancing, and that was a 2-0 in favor of Orangutan X versus Global Esports Phoenix. I have to say though, Dax, those last few rounds were really dicey.
It was very competitive there at the second half of our second map, and in the end, Orangutan X, they make it towards that top 3, but I gotta give props to GE. The progress is so clear. 5th, 6th last open, 4th place right now. And truth be told, this series was more so defined not by Orangutan X and their overwhelming prowess, but just their starts. If OGX and GE had a more balanced and a more equal start, I do feel like this would have went the distance. But you could see already from GE, players like Rose, players like Muffin, stepping on up on the attacking side. One thing that GE was able to do especially, they could actually use their ultimates because they weren't being denied by OGX again and again. But for Orangutan, it was just a continuation of where they left off. That thrifty win with the Frenzies on that A side, absolutely essential. Casper coming up clutch in those 1v1 scenarios, and just such a wild ending from Emmy too. You saw that, Mika.
Yes.
She was just running and gunning, and eventually, well, it was just fate for Orangutan to move on to the next round.
Yeah, not to mention it was well fought for Global Esports Phoenix. They should be very, very proud, especially for these last few rounds, because that's, you know,
Yeah.
we saw it on the side of Global Esports. Rose is the MVP, and how many rounds did we see her, you know, as part of a 3v5 against a completely healthy Orangutan X, yet still able to convert it to a win, right? Rose makes you believe. Viola makes you believe.
G is so competitive right now, and I really feel like it's only a matter of time for them to get even further into the bracket. Probably gonna be an open 3 if they qualify. We'll see what they're gonna do moving forward, because this core does look sound. The fact that they can keep tabs with Orangutan, the fact that they've beat RRQ Kaguya in the bracket already speaks volume, but not just once but twice, Mika. Twirly yet again, MVP performance, a star back in her form.
Oh, it's good, so good to see her on this type of form. I mean, it's so good to see her enjoying as well. We did miss her in this, you know, type of environment, right? And I feel like for the side of Global Esports Phoenix, they still have a lot to be proud of. Like, you know, that yes, unfortunately, their journey for Open 2 ends here, but this is so encouraging. Like you mentioned, RQ Kaguya, and then now taking this fight so closely to Orangutan X, right? And so admirably too. We remember talking to Meow in an interview how she was saying that GE does need a little bit of time to warm up and stuff. And I feel like that's an overall statement for the team as a whole, right? You know, you entered into this open knowing that you had 15 days to kind of pull the roster together. Imagine how you look like if you stick with this and you head into open 3. Very scary indeed.
Yeah, the possibility's true, but you know who was hot from the get-go? Orangutan X. And especially with a series like this, where they were able to overwhelm with firepower, that's a big confidence boost. We saw it in the cameras. They were excited to move on. They were very happy, but they know the job isn't done. And with the lower bracket finals awaiting us, it's gonna be exciting. Orangutan versus Full Sense, huh?
Yes, indeed. I hope that the Orangutan X are able to rest for just a little bit, recover, because their day is not done. They're going straight into another series against Full Sense Sapphire this time. So hopefully for Orangutan X, apes together strong, as we do like to say over here at Game Changers APAC. But Full Sense Sapphire, that is another monster entirely, and that is another discussion right after this quick break. Don't worry, VCT Game Changers will be right back.
You should run. 10 seconds left. One enemy remaining.
Die. Thug.
One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. Clutch. One enemy remaining. One enemy. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining.
We wanna get it crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, crunk in the club, with a get it crunk with a couple hundred thugs. Crunk in the club, funk in the club, with a funk in the club, funk in the club, funk in the club, funk in the club, with a big funk, with a couple hundred thugs. Everybody round, everybody round, everybody round, everybody round here.